Hi, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of Coming Out with Liz and Eddie. I'm Eddie Conner.
And I'm lizlayug.
This episode is about recognizing patterns that work for you. And Liz is going to lead the show with some questions that you may not be aware of because we are all here to help you help yourself feel cute. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Now, Eddie,
Yes?
do you believe you have conscious thought patterns that run your life?
I do.
Okay. And do you think you have subconscious thought patterns running your life? Subconscious thought patterns.
Subconscious thought patterns, I do.
Okay. Do you believe it's possible for both operating at the same time?
100%.
Yeah. And then did you know
That the average person thinks like 40,000 thoughts a day.
Yes.
And they repeat the same thoughts over and over and over from the day before and the day before that and the day before that. And you know what that ends up doing?
Sabotage.
It will sabotage you.
Well, we're just messing around, but it's
But no, it does.
It does.
It will sabotage you.
Yeah.
So yes, let's talk. Let's talk
let's
about
discuss
it for a second.
about it.
This is what happens when you're unconscious and your conscious cross the
over.
intersection at the same
Yes.
time. One of us is in a train, the other one was in a cement truck. I was in the cement truck. Okay, so do we have conscious thoughts? Yes, we do. Do we have subconscious thoughts we're not consciously aware of
Yes.
that will also run in parallel with your conscious thoughts?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And whenever Liz says it sabotages, it really does because
Yeah.
you can have a conscious thought
Yes.
pattern of, I want love. I want someone cute. I want someone tall. I want someone handsome.
Yeah.
But I don't. But when you're saying those things, if how you feel is lack of,
Yeah.
not enough. If you say, I want someone new, but you're feeling
You're
that emotional, fearful you're going to get what you got before and before that and before that.
Or I'm going to have somebody that was like my father, if somebody, because it's your first. Yeah.
Yeah, you date your mama.
Exactly.
And you date your daddy. I'm from the South. I've seen it. But no, for real.
For real.
Because the first 7 years of your life, you live in a theta state. Theta is that between world state. And so the children between birth and 7 years old have 1 foot in the spiritual, magical, mystical land of make-believe and 1 foot in the physical. So their physical little brains are developing while their soul's energy is drinking in the environment. So you learn through osmosis. And if you grow up in an accidentally self-sabotaged environment, it's called an osmosis. So there's osmosis and asmosis. Osmosis is where you're learning, but if everything is contradicted, you are learning to sabotage. So from birth to 7, that's what's going on. And then what happens from 7 to 14? You're still observing everything around you, and now you are vibrationally harmonized with mom, and you're vibrationally harmonized with dad, and you have conscious thoughts about mom and dad.
Yep.
You have subconscious beliefs about mom and dad. So when you start tippy-toeing into the dating pool, you will unconsciously, subconsciously, whether you want to or not, end up dating your mother or your father's personality trapped in a teenage body.
Exactly. Said well.
Thank you so much. If you liked what we just said, you should click like and subscribe. Look how fancy we are. So listen, before we change anything in our lives that Liz and I are talking about, you have to... before we can change anything
That's right.
not working
That's right.
in our lives, you must first do these 3 things.
You acknowledge the thing that is not working. So you want to think about Become aware of the pattern that is not working for you.
And then number 2, you want to understand the root cause of the thing that isn't working, because you cannot change anything until you know the source problem.
Yeah. And then work towards changing the non-productive patterns or the negative pattern into a positive winning pattern that serves you.
Exactly. It's we're going to repeat that one more time. So Liz said, acknowledge the thing not working, and then you want to understand the root cause of what's not working, and then work towards changing that pattern from negative to something that's positive. Perfect. So we're going to give you some examples. I know y'all think we perfect and that we live these glamorous lives and stuff. You can just tell by our wardrobe that we fancy pants, hyper snickety people, okay? But we're not. We're just like all of you.
So why don't you give me an example, Edward?
You see what she did there, y'all? Did you see that?
Did you see that?
Did you see it?
Because you're so cute. And
that's
so
so
do you
sweet. That's
have...
passive-aggressive, Liz. You're so pretty, Eddie. You go first with your faults.
No, why don't you give me a positive one?
A positive one.
A positive pattern that's winning for you.
I'm going to do the negatives first.
Okay, so you do that. Okay, we'll do the
negative first because I've got lots of those. My predominant negative pattern that I did not know was a negative pattern, I thought it was my strength.
Yeah.
Was overworking.
Oh, yeah.
So
I know that one.
Working too hard. If I was paid $20,000 a year to do a job, I gave you $1.5 million worth of blood, sweat, tears, time, talent. And because I was taught through osmosis that you always give 100%. But I also assumed that meant everything you had, not what you were paid to do. So there's called even exchanges of energy. If a company hires you for $20,000, if you give that company more than 1 penny over that $20,000 worth of your blood, sweat, and tears, you have put yourself in a vibrational subconscious deficit. And let me tell you something, they're not going to stop you. They're not going to say, oh my goodness, we're getting $1 million worth of work for just $20,000 a year. They're doing the work of 3 and 5 people. Or do you think they're going to stop you?
No.
And say, oh, you know what? We need to give you a raise.
Oh, no, not at all.
They don't do that. And so my predominant negative pattern that was unconscious and conscious was, I'm a great worker. Mm-hmm. What was yours?
Well, I had a similar one, but similar to that, I'm a workaholic. I was a workaholic. I'm working on not being a workaholic, and but mine was more, being in the public's eye, or I always thought that I was a great speaker and I had no problem discussing any subject at work. I would, be the first one to raise my hand to go. In reality, I'm very much someone who shies away from all of that. So it was like a push-pull kind of situation in which I found myself once I was in the public side, once I was like the lead in this certain thing, or when I was modeling or whatever, and I got the lead, or I was in front of the camera, I did this and that. I found myself automatically kind of like shutting my light down, like shying away from all of that.
Just curious, what triggered it though? So once you get there, you get the job, you're modeling, and you're on the way there, and then you show up. What triggered it? The push-pull paralysis?
I think it was being in the focus of the light.
Being the center of attention.
Being the center of attention. Because, when I was growing up, and then this is in relationship to that, there were many children. And
you mean on the planet or just in your household?
Just in our household.
Okay.
And there were like 4 kids. And then, you see that? And so we were told not to single ourselves out as being special. we're all the same.
Did they say that to the girls predominantly, or the boys, or both?
In both.
Okay.
In both. And so I think, to me, I feel that's what that was. And so I've been working on that. As soon as I recognized that pattern, I started to recognize that. Interesting enough, I became a model. We're doing the podcast. I do a lot of, I lead on many things when I was in my lifetime. But interesting how it works.
I think it's fascinating because I have that one too. Growing up in the South, you're to be seen and not heard. You were to speak when you're spoken to.
Yeah.
And then, like you, I would end up in the spotlight or getting recognition or pushed on stage in a G-string and a ripped up T-shirt. But here's how I got past that. It was work. As long as it was work.
Oh, see, me too. Excellent. That's perfect. Yeah.
I would step past the push-pull paralysis. I would step outside of my big butt prediction about being the center of attention. I'm like, oh, this is a job. Yeah. And I am here to give 190%.
Yes.
And so that's how I flipped it. But we were putting Band-Aids on train wrecks.
That's right.
And cement truck wrecks. And we didn't know at the time what we know now, because now we all smart and sophisticated people. We are. We educated. We intelligence.
And we know now.
You could tell we went to school and shit.
You're so silly.
And listen, if you're just tuning in, you're watching Coming Out with Liz and Eddie. I'm Eddie Conner.
And I'm lizlayug.
This show is all about recognizing patterns that work for you. So Liz and I have put ourselves very vulnerable out in
front of everyone.
Just with our scabs showing.
We're putting our laundry out there.
Listen, our inner children went back into the closet and they hide. So here's what we talked about at the very opening. Before you can change anything that's not working for you in your life, you have to acknowledge what's not working, get to the root cause of it, and then flip that negative pattern into a winning pattern. So Liz, you described how, I described that mine was workaholism.
Yeah.
And also, you're to be seen and not heard, so therefore you cannot be the center of attention. No. And yours was?
Mine was, again, not being the center of attention.
Perfect.
Don't put yourself out front, because then that would single you out and make you special, and you're not.
That's right. And
so it was a judgment.
And those are outdated patterns that we're conscious of, but if we don't stay on top of it, our subconscious will activate it again and again and again and again. And there'll be two timelines running over top of each other. One is we're doing a podcast. The other one is you to be seen and not heard, bitch. What you think about?
Exactly.
And so what I do is, this is part of my life purpose.
Yes.
I am doing what I was born to do. I am working, and I don't want anyone to have to go through the hard knocks and burn bridges that I had to go through.
Exactly.
I want to give you the tools that if you've gone through them and have the black eye and the tooth knocked out your face, then you have the tools to get to the other side of it faster than Liz and I did.
Well, what I do a lot of times is that I'll become aware, become the observer. You observe the behavior. You observe. Once you become aware of the pattern and you look at it and you're clear on what it is, then you can recreate another tape. I call it, you can recreate the tape. You can cut the tape, and then you can recreate it in a more positive way for yourself and embed that into yourself. And now you begin a new one. You can get rid of the old one, cut the tape, and begin a positive one in which it's okay to be seen. It's okay to be heard. It's okay to want to be the front, the special one. It's okay. And in fact, it's going to help you. You encourage yourself from the position of the observer, so you do succeed in that moment. Does that make sense?
I just saw Jesus when you were talking. So yes, it makes sense. Let me tell you why. We both, well, I had the realization, but I'm going to include my friend Liz in it, because she was my sister from a past life. I baby Jessica'd her. I pushed her down a well.
You're so bad.
I am bad. But no, I really didn't. It was a tidal wave that came in and swept her off the ship. I couldn't save her.
Yeah.
No. Authority.
Yeah.
That's our thing.
Yeah.
So as children, the authorities, meaning the parents that raised us, were very strict, and you didn't blur the line.
There's no question.
You didn't negotiate with your mama and your daddy when you grew up in the era that we did. Mm-hmm. And so when we went out into the world and we had bosses, then we did what we were told. We were the dutiful employee. And then we did above and beyond what everybody else was doing. So they would see we were dead serious about wanting to continue to be there, right?
Yeah.
So we had contradicted belief systems about authority. And that's the root cause of you're to be seen and not heard. And that's when we get triggered.
Yeah. It's interesting. I know we talked about this before, but I had a dream in which I saw myself in my different lifetimes on a spiral. And the energy is like this. Life is like a spiral. It's not linear. It doesn't go straight on like that, but it goes in a spiral. Yeah. So therefore, you revisit the old energies in the past that had defeated you before, so which is the old pattern. And you're given an opportunity by the universe to allow you to say yes or no, because you have free will and choice to say yes or no. And once you make up your mind and you say, no, I don't want to do that anymore, and you're conscious of it, you'll go on to the next level.
Yep.
You'll begin to, expand, for a better word. You're in charge of this, which is really the positive thing about it. You're in charge. It
is. And some people sign up for way too many things before they're born. And then we get sucked into it. But then we do exactly what you're talking about. We have free will. We get to choose what we're going to be able to do and not do. But you rest assured, if you say, no, I'm not going to do that right now, your subpersonality is going to pull it out of its magic hat down the road in another lifetime.
But this is specifically like we're talking about negative patterns. So that's why when I say cut the tape, negative patterns.
I got psychic bitch slapped.
No, you didn't. No, I'm agreeing. So, but remember that it's just like, you're on the spiral. You just remember that that energy will come up again. And just for your information, just because you said no at the time, don't think that it's not going to come up in the future. But you, at least the positive thing about it is you're going to recognize it, and you'll know. So you're going to go, oh, no. I've been there, done that, not doing that anymore.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what I love about doing these shows.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are going to be a little bit more specific, and we're going to do an exercise that you can do at home too. And that is, we're going to pick one negative, and then we're also going to pick a positive too. One negative thing about our experience, and we're going to write it down on this little piece of paper.
Are we?
Yep. So pick one this is for you at home, and we're going to do it here with you. Pick one negative pattern that you are consciously aware of. By conscious, you do it and you wish you didn't do it. Like pizza, donuts, cookies, cakes, candies. What would that be, actually? That's a whole different show.
You're so funny.
So pick one negative pattern, and I'm going to say mine is authority. Okay. I'm going to say negative authority figures. What would yours be?
One of mine, I'll just say in general, I already said about the focus of attention. Mine is, and interesting you're talking about food, is overeating.
Okay.
So I would always overeat.
Okay.
And I was very big when I was young. I was sickly, and so didn't do much.
Hold on. I was very good when I was young. I was very sickly.
No. I said it was very big.
Oh,
big.
Bless your heart.
And I was, because I was sickly, I didn't do a lot of exercise like my brothers and sisters. And so I had breathing problems. Anyway, long story short, I was overeating, which didn't make me happy. So every time I focus on like not eating, I would eat more. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because you get what you focus on. You focus on food and not eating. So you're thinking about it all the time. So you're eating. Right?
Have you ever been eating breakfast and wondered what you're going to have for lunch?
Yeah.
Have you ever been eating lunch and wondered what you're going to have for dinner?
Yeah. Have you ever eaten like breakfast, lunch, and dinner all at once?
I don't think I have, but I've had breakfast for dinner before. We call that breakfast for supper back home.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've done.
But no, I try to evenly distribute.
During the,
those truckloads of.
Yeah. So we picked a negative pattern.
So here's for you at home. Liz and I saw the light.
Yeah, we sure did.
We really did. That was priceless.
Perfect. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so
we're recognizing a pattern here that Liz and I have that Ebony's trying to help us with. So pick one negative pattern. This is for you at home that you have that you're conscious of and write it down. Mine is having unhappy experiences with authority figures.
Yes.
And yours is, we'll say, what was yours?
Overeating.
Overeating. Okay, number 2, acknowledge what it is. What you're doing is you're not blaming it. You're not feeling guilt over it. You're not mad about it. You are aware.
There's no judgment.
Perfect. And so a place of awareness is you're putting it there on the silver platter and you're acknowledging it, that I have this old pattern I'm wanting to clean up about bosses and different things being not nice to me, and yours is overeating. So now we've acknowledged what it is. Number 3, you want to understand the root cause of where it came from.
Yeah.
And if you can't get to the root cause, you're not going to be able to clean it up.
Yeah.
So for mine is, I had a very overbearing grandmother, authority. Mm-hmm. My mom was strict, and she needed to be for dealing with us 4 boys, and surviving her first and second marriage. So she was super strict. My birth dad was a sadist. So these are my authority figures. And then my stepdad was a whole different ball of wax. So there were all these mixed signals. And with my birth dad and my grandmother, there were times where and I'm not exaggerating this, you did not know if you were going to live through the night. And so I didn't have a good night's sleep till I was almost 16 because my dad was a sadist and he would just go crazy at any time. Grandma would throw holy water on your ass and tell you to strip down to your man panties or your child panties at the time. And she would talk in tongues to Jesus while you're standing there with your hands over your pee-pee.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. And so then there's all of these different components. So these 4 predominant authority figures that I perpetually got mixed signals from was a life or death situation.
Yeah.
I was literally attracting bosses that would pull those stunts on me as a young adult and an adult. So that's the root cause for me.
Yeah.
Go just a little bit about your root cause with the recognizing
just
the overeating. Yeah, just a little. Just a little. Just a little.
Just a little.
Just a little.
I think it's because I was born in a Filipino family. I'm Filipino American, so my mother, anytime anything happened, eat. If you're upset, eat. My dad just beat the shit out of it, eat. If you got bad grades, eat. If you do this, eat. And I realize that the response in regards to eating, it wasn't right. It didn't make sense.
But it felt good at the time.
But at the time, it felt fine because that was normal in my family.
So food was, I'm sorry. I love you.
Yes.
I didn't mean it.
Yes.
I'm going to try not to let it happen again.
Yeah.
So it was a Band-Aid on their mistakes.
Exactly. And so as we got older and it was affecting our social life, whatever, because, if you're big, then now people, they don't treat you the same, unfortunately, that's
and people
the
are
case.
mean.
Yeah, people can be
And
mean.
people are nice too.
Yeah, and people, children especially,
Children are
sometimes can be
mean.
really, well, they don't
Well, children
know.
are nice too.
They don't know. They don't know.
They know
They
on
don't.
some level.
Trouble.
Most
Yeah.
of them are mimicking their parents.
But as a result of that, then, my own thought forms about myself and about what I do, it became skewed.
Okay.
So when I became aware of it, I think I was about 13 years old. And I remember at that point, I decided that I was going to take control of my physical being, my life. And literally within 3 months, I lost 35 pounds. And this is the summer before going into high school.
Mm-hmm.
And it was fine. It was never an issue after that, really. So,
That's crazy.
yeah.
Okay. So here's the recap of this section.
Mm-hmm.
Pick a negative pattern that you already know that you have. Mine was about authorities.
Mm-hmm.
Yours was about overeating. We acknowledged what it was, and then we got to the root cause of where it started. 99% of the time, it will not even be about you ever. It'll be about the authorities and parents or teachers or priests or whatever or grandmas that raised you. And then once you understand the root cause, you cut it loose.
Yeah.
Send it back to those people. Even if they ain't on the earth plane, no. If they're not here, no, send it to heaven. Send it to hell if that's where you think they is, child, because I can guarantee you a few people I know is in hell.
Yeah.
And I'm just being silly a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Right.
right. And
But
so then you turn the root cause. Once you identify it, you know that you're consciously sabotaging, and
Yeah.
you know why you were subconsciously sabotaging. And then you flip a bitch.
Right.
That's the technical term. So you flip it from authorities, people scare me, to I am, and this is where I have finally come to on my own. I'm an authority
Yes.
in my life. Nobody knows Eddie better than Eddie.
That's right.
And getting to the honest heart center of that awareness keeps me from attracting passive aggressive bosses.
Yeah.
That's why I work for my damn self.
Mm-hmm.
And it also keeps me tuned in, tapped in, turned on, as Abraham Hicks would say. And it's the same with Liz.
Yeah.
So we want to now very quickly, because we're wrapping up the show, what is a positive pattern you have now as a result of the unconscious and conscious patterns running simultaneously that used to run your life? So now that we flip some bitches, so mine is I rest. I love to rest. I meditate. I relax. I love to have fun. And I like to bring that lightness or fun even when we're working hard.
Yeah.
Even if I'm not the only one in the room.
Yeah.
And that's the byproduct of living through all the hard knocks.
Exactly.
Not knowing the root cause of negative patterns that ran my life, and then flipping it into something that's a unifying force of light energy that comes from the soul essence forward.
Yeah. So, yeah, but similar to that, it's like I want my focus in order to counteract that is that I wanted to bring balance into my life. So it's all about balance. So what I've done was I've learned how to cook. I've learned how to choose and cook things for myself that are healthier. I look at things. I try to get myself more. I do give myself more opportunities to get outside and to do other things that are not sedentary. And that's what I've done for that. And it actually has worked quite well.
It is.
Yeah.
And so to end the show, we want to give you a fun exercise to do, and that is to keep inventories, meaning write them out longhand. Keep inventories of every pattern that is working, that does serve you, that feeds your heart, that feeds your soul, that aligns your mind, that merges you with your greater power and your life purpose. And do this every single day. Some people say, oh, you just saying count your blessings, bitch. No, I'm not.
No.
I'm saying keep a conscious inventory, because when you're conscious of it and you know the root cause of it, then you get to flip a bitch and take it from sin inventories where you miss the mark into win inventories where your life starts to work again. And what's our next show going to be about, Liz?
You know, our next show is going to be really exciting, Eddie. It's going to be recognizing past life bleed-throughs.
Ooh,
and this is something I just love. I mean, I know you do too. And it comes in unusual ways, so you'll see that on the next show.
And by the way, if you like what you're seeing, please be gentle, be kind, click like, click share, click Sunny.
You're so silly.
Until we meet again, remember to keep your thoughts, feelings, and frequencies high, fast, and pure so that you can unlock the universe within. I'm Eddie Conner.
And I'm Lizlayug.
And this has been another fabulous episode of Coming Out with Liz and Eddie.
Thanks, everyone.